Greetings, welcome back to HM Live. I trust you're having a blessed week. I'm sure that last Sunday was just tremendous. Here in the Midwest, it seems that fall has arrived quite early, and we're enjoying it. Of course, reality is that summer can be back in just the blink of an eye. Got a couple of things I want to share with you. Got an email from our intercultural missionary evangelist, and that's a big term for a Spanish language missionary. Daryl Collins. Daryl and his wife are our first Spanish language missionaries here in North America who are traveling from site to site helping Caucasian, Anglo, English-speaking churches establish a beachhead for reaching to the Spanish community. And they are now on their third assignment. Their first two assignments were in Louisiana, where that in 6-7 months they assisted 5 different churches in raising up Spanish works, getting those launched. That's a tremendous return on the investment. As Brother and Sister Collins were traveling to their next assignment, which is in Georgetown, Delaware, they had mechanical problems, and actually things did not go very well. It cost about $2,000, and I'm going to be asking for some help for them and for their account with that regard. But when they got to Georgetown, after their first service, Brother Collins was backing out of the church drive and backed into an automobile. And it just so happened that the automobile belonged to someone who is Spanish speaking. And Sister Collins began to talk with people around, and they all spoke Spanish, and she began to communicate to them about the church that was being started and the work that was being launched there in Georgetown in partnership with Sister Janet Trout. And these folks were interested. They were excited. And Sister Collins was very emphatic that the enemy is dumb if he thinks that any of the adversities that have come to our equipment is going to get in the way of us doing what God has called us to do. Upon this rock He has built His church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. The enemy's bad, and I'm glad because we're going to have a Hispanic daughter work in Georgetown, Delaware. Isn't that exciting? That's your missionary. And I'm asking you to come alongside to help and to get their account back a little closer to even. Matter of fact, we need 40 more monthly partners for Daryl and Cynthia Collins to have them fully funded. You could help home missionaries. You can make this your next partner in missions project. What a huge impact this is going to make for the kingdom of God. Also want to mention email I received from Anthony Lacascia, and I'm probably butchering that particular pronunciation. And he was referencing his appreciation, the opportunity to be in the home mission service. We have a special service at General Conference specifically for home missionaries and evangelists, both of whom, of course, are under the umbrella of the General Home Missions Division. That meeting is Thursday afternoon at 2:30. It is in the Renaissance Hotel. I've asked our home missionaries to bring one additional person with them, someone who may be interested in home missions. And we're going to have a great time. Our representative for the Southeast region, Roy Barnhill, is going to be preaching in that 2:30 service. It's going to be a time of encouragement. I encourage not only home missionaries and evangelists, but if you're at our general conference and have any inkling of what a tremendous impact these folks are making, I'd like to encourage you to come and participate as well. I also want to share this testimonial from them that his wife and himself were appointed home missionaries in January of this year, and last night, this would have been this past Sunday night, they had 53 in service. Over half of those were visitors. In the group were 9 people who speak Spanish, and he's going to have to invest in headsets to have their services. Home Missions Church now, brand new church, buying headsets to have their services translated into Spanish. Thankfully, Brother Lacascia's wife was raised on the mission field, and they're going to build, even as they're starting an English-speaking church, they're going to be starting a Spanish-speaking church as well. That's your home missionaries. That's people that you are sending into the work of God. Last few weeks, I've been talking again about home missionaries surviving the maze of church planting. Next few minutes, I'm going to talk about another component of that. And again, I'm using the analogy of the things that just stymie us, the things that will cause a home missionary to fail, and one that we don't talk about. We don't talk about it in ministry often enough, is simply exhaustion. Not taking enough time off will get you hung at a place. And the matter of fact, for all of us who are in ministry, this particular issue is very real. Home missionaries, in many ways, you are an entrepreneur. You are starting something that is brand new. Now, when you start something that's brand new, you're energized, you're aggressive, and a lot of this almost ties into an earlier session on surviving the maze about trying to do too much too soon. Here's the thing. As an entrepreneurial home missionary, everything you initiate, everything you start, by default gets added to your maintenance list. Well, there's only so much stuff that you can maintain. Sadly, those who have giving out as their vocation are wearing out. And there's nothing new in that. As a matter of fact, preacher of another century, 2 centuries ago, as a matter of fact, Charles Spurgeon told students in ministry that the ministry is a matter which wears the brain and strains the heart and drains out the life of a man if he attends to it as he should. So, in home missions and in ministry itself, you are involved in something that is very hard work. It's very focused work, takes a lot out of you. I know that we would like to think that our statistics would be different than the larger denominational world, and they may well be. But let me cite them just as a point of beginning this discussion. H.B. London has been involved with Focus on the Family for a number of years, and he wrote a book, Pastors at Risk, and then Pastors at Greater Risk. And in his research, he came up with some startling statistics. 80% of the pastors surveyed believe that pastoral ministry affected their families negatively. A third said that it was an outright hazard to their family. 75% said that in their own ministry, they had had a significant stress-related crisis at least one time. 50% of the pastors surveyed felt that they were inadequately prepared and trained to meet the needs of the job. 90% felt that they needed help, training, assistance to cope with the demands that were placed on them in ministry. And then they changed the equation to where that they were doing the survey to pastors' wives, and 25% of the pastors' wives felt that their husband's work schedule was a source of conflict. And sadly, those in ministry are just as likely to end up in a divorce court as general church members of the denominational world. The clergy at large, has the second highest divorce rate among all professions. And 80% of pastors say that they are able to spend insufficient time with their spouse. 45.5% of pastors say that they've experienced depression or burnout to the extent that they needed a leave of absence from ministry. And 70% of preachers do not feel that they have even one close friend. You say, well, what do those statistics have to do with me? The truth of the matter is that many of you I'm talking to today are dealing with the very issues and challenges that H.B. London's survey described. Now, I think that we need to ask ourselves, how in the world do these particular things happen? The truth is, Satan wants to wear you out, and we tend to play right into his hands. If you don't believe it, listen to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 25, where Daniel in prophecy sees this beast and says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High." The wearing out, the term wearing out that's used here, always refers to a mental exhaustion rather than a physical weariness. Satan's strategies do not change. His objective is to